You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Make yourself famous. A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. Wednesday Night, Kyle Gagliardi, as always joined by my good friend, Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, and it's been a while since I've been able to do this, Dougie!
What's going on, Kyle? GarageBand has detected feedback.
They didn't like me yelling in the microphone?
Not a fan, apparently. It collected all the audio, though. So
It's probably because we haven't talked to GarageBand in, 18 days now?
It's been a while.
Who sang that song? Since I saw...
Aaron Lewis, Stain, one of them.
I was gonna say Creed. But,
With arms wide open.
that's Creed. Okay, they all kind of sound the same.
Yep.
So what's good, man? A couple weeks off from talking wrestling.
Yeah.
Have you been keeping up with everything?
Yeah, still active with everything. Raw's getting better.
Yeah,
Raw's not.
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. So I've been current with the programs. We're whiffling, preparing for a whiffle wedding coming up.
Yeah. Never thought I would hear those two words in the same sentence.
Yeah. So I will be officiating said wedding. I'm all set up.
What's the word? You're ordained?
I am an ordained minister.
Got it.
So all the listeners out there, hit me up for all your wedding needs. Available, affordable packages available.
Okay. I'll put that in my notes. I might use you in a couple years. You never know.
We have a very single friend group, so business is going to be booming.
I've noticed that when we're around all the Wiffle guys and everything, everybody's like, "Yeah, let's go out." Nobody really has to worry about a significant other than you and Caleb, and about it.
And once your situation is a little bit more active, Miss and I, we cling to couples and enjoy a good double date every once in a while. So
honestly, even with my exes in the past, I never did the whole double date thing. Not that I don't want to. I would love to go out and have a ball with you.
Same thing for Mista and I. It's only been recently that we've found couples that we actually tolerate.
Well, is it maybe because now, what, you've been married a couple of years?
Yeah, and it was always picking. Well, that's your friend. I went, well,
it could be our friend.
It can be our friend.
Yeah.
So we're getting better at that. So we got some storms coming in here, man.
Yeah, we got a warning popped up on my computer, actually. And this is weird. We were talking about this before we started. I thought it was a Thursday. It's Monday.
Yeah.
We're recording on
Very
a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Because we intentionally were going to do last Thursday, but I actually had to work a lot last week, Tuck.
It'd be like that sometimes. Rarely. Sometimes.
The 4th coming up, it was very busy, and that was my mom's birthday, so I had to do all that. And then we were going to record on Tuesday, but we figured, hey, it might be better to crank it out here on Monday.
Make sure we get it done, because it's been a while, so here we are.
And we are recording this before Raw on the 29th, so everything that we talk about when we get to the WWE talk will be before the 29th of June. But before we get into things, we got to remind everybody that we are a part of the Overtime Sports Network. Tucky, what is OTSN? Hopefully things are going to be starting to ramp back up here shortly.
Yeah, the Overtime Sports Network, it's a collection of like-minded bloggers and podcasts covering many, many facets and angles of the sports world. Now that sports seem to be on the come up,
maybe,
hopefully, we are in search of a NASCAR blogger. That's pretty active.
We did have a guy one time write a blog that just said Tony Stewart killed a guy. People forget that. And that was it.
And that was it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty effective.
It got a lot of views.
Very effective.
So you could do that too.
Yeah. So we are always looking for those that fit, a good fit, especially bloggers, graphic people, things like that. But if you're just interested in checking in the content, otsportsnetwork.com, and on Twitter @_OTSN. Also on YouTube, Overtime Sports Network. Look for the scoreboard. And you'll be finding another Pro Wrestling Crate unboxing
shortly.
Soon, within the next day or two. It's done. It is filmed.
OTM content coming this week. We got
real.
This podcast, episode number 30. So once again, congrats. We made it to 30.
Yeah, we are quickly about to surpass Wheelhouse Baseball, my other podcast on the Overtime Sports Network. But that's cool. This one needs to, stay a little bit more current. So
it's really, other than maybe golf and UFC that are going on, the only thing, and I put it in air quotes, sports related that you can watch on a weekly basis nowadays.
Yeah. I've tuned into the KBO, the Korean Baseball Organization.
Don't you have to wake up at like 4 a.m.?
Yeah, it's been around. Yeah, that's cheeks. I've dabbled with NASCAR a little bit. I like playing NASCAR games way more than I like actually watching it.
I like doing those games where you just sit in the chair and you lounge and then you get the big screen in front of you. That's my kind of thing right there.
No doubt.
But also, don't forget, we are now on Spotify, the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Yes, people forget that.
Yeah, well, it has been some time once again. But all you have to do is just search On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. You'll find us there and give us a follow and share an episode for once. Don't be a jabroni.
It's okay. It's okay to share. We need you to.
It's effortless to just hit a like button and hit the retweet. Like, come on,
bro. We're worth 2 taps.
Ian,
come on.
I'm just going to name off all of our listeners. Mikey,
yeah.
Mikey sometimes does.
Yeah, he will, yeah.
And I got to give a shout-out to @FightMission. That's my boy Michael. He's been listening.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome.
I gave him a shout-out a couple episodes ago, and he said he's been keeping up with us.
He heard it. And that's what it takes, Leave us a review on iTunes. We'll shout you out. Hit the retweet. We might shout you out.
Yeah, we might, but we're going to start with our Fyter Fest preview because that's going to be happening over the next 2 weeks. We originally thought it was going to be a weekend thing. Turns out it's just on Wednesdays, like a Dynamite.
I kind of wish it was, honestly, to give it a little bit more glitz, a little bit more of a pay-per-view type feel. I'm cool with it being over 2 weeks, but with it being in the same slot on that Wednesdays, it is going to feel like a Dynamite of a different name.
And, I mean, I know specifically us two are doing things on Wednesdays, and our weekends are more free, and it gives you that more pay-per-view feel when you have it on the weekend. So, I mean, it's still cool. I'm sure these shows are going to be good. So we're going to do each night, night 1 and night 2, preview and predictions for Fyter Fest because we probably won't record until after night 2 next week.
Yeah.
And then on the back half of this show, we're going to get into the WWE. So if you're a fan of either, you can skip to the back half for WWE talk or just ask us on Twitter @PonOnTheMark. And, one of us can probably tell you when we start talking about a certain subject, and you can listen to that.
Yep.
Because not everybody watches AEW and WWE like us talk. I know we're really broadening our wrestling intake.
I know. Yeah. It's good, though. It's good wrestling, so we'll take it.
A lot of people decide to fight still over ratings.
You don't have to do that.
You could do what we do, and we watch both.
And enjoy. Yeah, we win.
And we will. Well, speaking of winning, NXT won in the ratings last week.
Winning, duh. Charlie Sheen reference. That's back.
Yeah,
that's old.
That was from what, 2008,
10? Yeah, 10. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I was in high school. But yeah, excitement level for 2 nights of Fyter Fest. What are we thinking?
Fair. That's it.
6.
I mean, 4 to 6 somewhere in there.
4.
It's cool. It's cool, but put it on a Saturday. Let me kick the feet up and drink a little, make it a little more something,
And I think the matches they've really kind of just focused on building-wise is the title matches. We've done a decent enough job to get you ready for those, but these other matches, they kind of have a filler feel to me. I don't know about you. If you look up and down that card.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first one, MJF and Wardlow versus the Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt, I would assume, is going to be there. So what are we thinking here? I'm assuming this would be a good match, good candidate to kick off maybe Fyter Fest on night 1, but who do you like winning this matchup between these teams?
Well, I think MJF and Wardlow need it a little bit more. Not that if they lost it would be, a huge detriment, but if you give Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy the win, what do you do with MJF after? Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy will always have a place as Jurassic Express. Luchasaurus is awesome.
How about that match that Wardlow and Luchasaurus had last week?
It was good.
It was a banger.
Yeah, and they're both very talented. So I think, I don't know what you do with MJF unless you're planning a split with him and Wardlow, but then what do you do?
Too soon.
Right, exactly. So I'm very confident that MJF and Wardlow will take this one. I do think it has potential to be a great match.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, I think it would be a good one to start off the show. You start off with the Jurassic Express, their theme song and the upbeat vibes and get you excited. But MJF and Wardlow need this win more. And Wardlow, and I even tweeted this out, I'm becoming more and more of a fan of him specifically. I mean, that match that he had with Luchasaurus, like I was saying, was really good. He's a big man that can go, and I respect that. And, and I think they're definitely going to get the win here as well. So we're both going with MJF and Wardlow in this tag match, which will lead us to another one. I guess this is just the night of tag matches minus a few. We got Private Party versus Santana Ortiz. This one is really out of left field. I don't know where this came from, to be honest.
I don't know why it's happening. Could be a great match. I'm scared that they're not going to give it a ton of time with a lot of title matches. You got Hangman and Kenny going against the Best Friends, Cody and Jake Hager, Hikaru Shida and Penelope Ford. Now, of the title matches, I think the Shida and Ford match can be the shortest.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you.
To make Shida continue to look strong. But again, you only have 2 hours. And you have commercials.
5 matches in 2 hours.
That's going to take you have 102 minutes, 104 minutes or so to get 5 matches in. The Cody one's probably going to be 15 to 20.
The tag could get that much, too. They love to focus on that. Yeah, I agree.
It should, because that's a great tag match. The Hikaru, you can get away with 5 minutes there.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous that this one's not going to get enough time. And they're going to sacrifice it. But this one is not a straightforward squash.
No, I agree.
You can make an argument for both for both sides. I actually think it makes more sense for Santana and Ortiz to win this one, to give the Inner Circle a little bit more juice, because Sammy Guevara is currently not in the picture.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit when we talk about all that's going on in pro wrestling. But I actually think Private Party's going to get the win here. I think we need to, start building up some babyface teams in AEW. Of course, you got the Young Bucks, and FTR is kind of like a tweener to start off their run in AEW. But I think Private Party needs to be on the upward trajectory here. So I'm going to go with them. I'm not too confident about it, but I just think with the Sammy Guevara situation, and I just don't know about the Inner Circle right now. They seem to be in a weird spot.
Yeah,
they're on the cards, they're on the shows, but
it's tough for Jericho too, because he's done such a great job, but some of it is out of his hands.
Yeah,
and that's the toughest part when you give a guy like Jericho, who is so creative, and you have to put handcuffs on him from extenuating circumstances. They are in a bit of limbo.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see. I got Private Party. You got Santana Ortiz. I don't think we should put the AEW, Mr. AEW moniker on the line here. It's kind of like a Dynamite.
If it were on Saturdays.
Okay.
If it was
Is that
special.
Our rule now?
I guess.
It's got to be a weekend show.
Yeah. You're not going to put the NXT title for the Great American Bash.
I tell you what, brother. Yeah, I am. No, I'm not a defending champion.
Well, I could be Mr. America then.
Oh, that's Kevin Owens' gimmick right there. Remember that. That was good. But so here's the 3 title matches we got. First off, 3 title matches on night 1. 1 title match on night 2. Interesting decision there.
It is, but if you look at some of the non-title matches on night 2, there are some matches that are going to be great.
Yeah.
You could put the women's title match on night 2.
I agree.
And not miss a beat. And you can put...
there is a female on that show. I was going to say there's no females on that show, but they have.
There's like no females in that division. they're all
also true. Chris Statlander's hurt now too.
Mm-hmm.
Britt's out.
They're in a tough spot.
Tessa Blanchard's a free agent.
I know.
Her dad works in AEW.
That's what I thought.
But she's also kind of a racist. But in today's culture...
It's not hard, dude. It's not... You don't have to be.
You just don't.
Come on.
Don't do it. Come on.
If you don't have something nice to say, don't tweet about it.
Exactly. But AEW women's title is what we're going to talk about first here from night 1. Hikaru Shida versus Penelope Ford, and I think this one's straightforward, so I'll go first. Shida wins. Like you said, it should be short. Because, she's been on a tear. I believe she's 12-1 or 13-1 in 2020. Penelope Ford's not ready. I don't see her as a champion. She's kind of just a manager to me. So I'm going to go with Shida, and I'm assuming you are as well.
They have booked Shida strong, and they have to continue booking her strong, because if some of these mid-card women start making a push towards the top of the division, what happens when Chris Statlander and Britt Baker do come back?
Yeah.
It makes it very mucky waters. Now, it is an opportunity for Penelope Ford to look strong if they want to book it that way. Maybe they give it a little bit more time than either of us anticipate.
I hope not. I don't need it.
No.
I'd rather see more of what we have on the card.
Right. Would you rather have 5 more minutes on the tag match or the Cody Hager match, which I don't I don't know that one's going to be a huge long. I think the tag match with Hangman and Omega is going to be pretty good. I like how the best friends work. So
yeah,
it's Shida.
Yeah,
it is.
It's a safe pick for sure. So we're both going with Shida, which then will take us to that men's tag title match that you were talking about: Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus the Best Friends.
Best friends.
Got it. Does that make us best friends then? Hey,
he's like,
Tucky, come on.
That means I'm actually in. I'm doing friend things where I'm taking you to pick up your car.
Don't knock down the table when you
it was
recording. Jesus Christ.
Talking to me like a friend now. Saying
yeah, there we go. You're definitely in.
I'm in.
But I'll let you go first here because honestly, I think out of all the title matches, this is the most difficult one to predict. I'm not sure if I'm going to pull the trigger, so I'm going to let you try to sway me either way.
If they want Fyter Fest to be remembered, this is the title change that can do it. You're not going to take it off of Cody. You're not going to take it off of Shida.
You could take it off of Cody.
The Moxley versus Cage match is up for debate, but is it going to happen?
I hope not.
The first question. No, is that match actually going to happen with Moxley and COVID? But this one, I think we're too far away from a separation, but I also don't think there's anything, unless you want to pop off another Dynamite. The next show is All Out, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe they're aiming for September and All Out.
So is that where the pop happens, where they actually lose it, or do they
trying
lose
to get
it
fans
now
there? Yeah,
and bring Omega and Page for that match?
It's tough. It really. But I think this is 50-50.
I know. And do you see the Omega and Page match being for a title, or is it good enough to stand alone? I don't think
it be a blood match, kind of like Cody and Dustin had.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Hangman and Kenny Omega. Thoughts? What are your thoughts?
The wheels are turning right now as I think about this match. I think they've done a really good job at building up the Best Friends. Like, we kind of had a lot of just tag teams swapping wins here and there, and nobody was really consistently building momentum. But the Best Friends are featured every single week with Orange Cassidy. Like, that's a nice plus to have on the side.
And that stable is active, and with the Inner Circle and a little bit of limbo, it could very doable.
I don't feel confident about this, but I'm going to say that there will be new AEW Men's Tag Team Champions and the Best Friends. I'm not sure if there's going to be any kind of turn here. Maybe you'll just see cracks here. This is where we start even more building to that potential split, and then you could go literally all out with those two.
And they have shown that they can develop a story through Dynamite with months in between pay-per-views, and that's sometimes a knock on WWE. The next pay-per-view is so close, you're shuffling from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do a great job, and sometimes you just get a B-list card, and it is what it is.
And they can lose here, and you could still keep them as a tag team, and I'd want them to keep losing. You just keep tallying these losses between Kenny and Hangman, and
there's a lot of really good tag teams that can give them good matches.
Oh, yeah.
And beat them firm.
FTR could beat them.
Right.
The Young Bucks could beat them. I mean,
Lucha Brothers.
The Dark Order could beat them. I mean, you never really know. So I'm going to go with new champions. Once again, not super confident, but
super excited.
I would be very happy with the Best Friends winning. They were a team that I kind of wasn't sold on. I didn't really understand it, but then again, that probably has to do with Orange Cassidy as well.
Well, and we knew nothing about All Elite. So
also
you just
true, yeah.
Best Friends, and the crowd pops for a hug, and you're like, dude, it's just a hug. But over time...
Dude, it's a hug. Like
that is a hug.
Yeah, that's good shit right there. So I'm going with new tag team champions. You're going with Hangman.
Yes.
And Kenny Omega, which then leads us to what should be the main event, I would assume, of night one, the TNT Championship match between Cody and Jake Hager. They had a kind of a weigh-in, a press conference thing last week. It fell flat, in my opinion. And it kind of ruined my excitement for this. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm indifferent to it. Cody's going to win. Until yes, who's going to be the face of TNT? And they're going to get
Jake Hager.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I'm not doing that.
Until Kenny Omega could do it.
Yeah,
Hangman
could.
There's guys, but Sammy Guevara would have been a great option. Darby Allin, he could be a TNT
Pac.
type. Yeah, he'd be
Where
great.
the hell is Pac?
People are at?
I'm asking.
Right. I don't know.
Answer.
COVID? I don't know. Is it a COVID thing?
Maybe he's just overseas and he doesn't feel like coming to America, which I couldn't blame him right now.
Or a travel restriction somewhere.
America's not the most desirable place in this current state.
And there are better and worse places within the States, too.
Also
no
true.
doubt.
But you're going with Cody then to retain?
I am.
Okay.
It'll be a fair match. I don't even think it'll be match of the night.
No, I think the tag will probably steal the show. And the reason I always say the tag, too, is because when we were at Revolution, that tag match that we saw for the titles was insane.
Yeah.
Like, that match was one of my favorites I've seen live. So if Hangman and Kenny were able to do that at Revolution, they could do it with the Best Friends because they're good workers. But going off of what you're saying, Cody's the face of TNT right now.
And the title's not even done yet.
It's not.
I don't know how long it takes.
And they need to keep doing this whole Cody faces a guy every week thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't need Jake Hager to hold the belt right now. He kind of has fell flat in AEW, which I'm not surprised with because I never really liked him in WWE.
He's very vanilla.
Very. He's just a guy.
Yep.
And you don't want just a guy holding the TNT Championship.
I'll tell you who definitely doesn't want that. TNT.
Yes. You really want to market Jake Hager, or are we going to market Cody Rhodes, the son of a plumber?
And there are marketable people.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't him.
No.
It's just not him.
So we both are going with Cody there. That is night one, which, of course, will then take us to night two. Leading off here, we're going to talk about Lance Archer versus Joey Janela. I really don't know how this one came about. Do you?
No,
remember?
Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss have been getting the rub a little bit. I don't know how.
That was their first match on Dynamite last week.
And solid.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I like them.
Does Sonny Kiss pop in and get Joey Janela a shank win here over Lance Archer? I don't know.
I'm going to go with Lance Archer.
It's really hard to bet against him.
Yeah, we need to start building him back up, too. Like, he did lose to Cody. It didn't hurt him, but what's next for the Murder Hawk? I mean, you got to take down Joey Janela here, and maybe if Sonny Kiss does get involved, you tear him apart as well.
Yep, they both
squash
just
him.
get it.
Yep,
and then they've got to build and rekindle that and
focus on tag.
Yeah.
So we both going with Lance Archer.
Mm-hmm.
That's very easy. This one's not a match, but Nyla Rose is supposed to appear at Fyter Fest. I'm not sure what she plans on doing.
And here's Nyla Rose.
Like,
and there she goes.
Is she going to debut a wrestler? Like, do you think she calls out anyone and somebody shows up?
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's probably too early for Tessa Blanchard, but there's nothing to predict there. Nyla Rose will be there, so night two going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. After that, Mr. Brody Lee is teaming up with Colt Cabana, which I don't know if you've paid attention to commentary. He's not in the Dark Order yet. They really want to throw that out there. He's not.
Kind of a weird candidate for them to go after, I guess. But if you want to give Colt Cabana some sort of life, aside from the boom, boom, Colt Cabana, boom, boom.
And they're facing SCU.
There we go. No feedback, so we're good on that.
Good volumes there.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the whole Colt Cabana thing, being recruited by Brody Lee? It's different. It's out of left field.
It's an opportunity for him to turn heelish and develop a side. The babyface Colt Cabana does not really. He's there. He's around.
But nobody, I don't think, has seen. I don't know much about Colt Cabana, but I don't think he's worked as a heel much in his career.
I know, and I think this could open up a little bit of a dark side and give him more character. It's pretty crowded in the men's division, so in order for you to stand out, you're going to need something else. I do think Dark Order provides that for him, and it could be a little bit of an interjection that the Dark Order needs, because we've talked about how Brody Lee's okay, it's happening.
Yeah, he's a good wrestler, and it's a good gimmick for him, but he needs more substance around him, not just number 10.
Right.
And that's about it.
Okay.
I know he's got Evil Uno, which we haven't seen in weeks either.
Active on Twitter, though.
Yeah, it's Thursday. You know what that means. Yep. I think he does that whole thing with Mr. Brody Lee. But I'm going to go with Mr. Brody Lee and Colt Cabana. I think eventually Colt may join the Dark Order, and it probably will be a brief stint. But it's a good candidate to join, I believe, because what was Colt going to do with what he was already doing?
Right, where he was at. I also will pick the two of them. I don't know what you do after a loss with the two of them, and we've already spent time trying to get Colt Cabana in the Dark Order, so I think this is the push.
So would this be the moment you think he would join?
Yeah.
Night 2? Join
maybe.
the Dark Order? Maybe.
Yep.
We could see it. I kind of hope we see it. I'm for it.
The first week is when they go up against the Great American Bash, right?
I think they are technically running the Great American Bash 2 nights. It's like, I wonder why they decided to go with 2 nights.
Cool.
Never heard of that idea before.
That's crazy.
It popped up next Wednesday. The Great American Bash, and the Great American Bash has a solid card too. Like it's not bad, but like we know what you're doing, WWE. I mean,
you ain't full of nobody.
No, definitely not. So we both are going with Brody Lee and Colt Cabana, which then will take us to La Champion, Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. And honestly, Tuck, this is probably the match I'm most excited for because you can go in so many directions with this.
It's going to be awesome because this is a moment for Chris Jericho to shine in the murky waters that he's in currently. So this is going to be an opportunity for him to work with Orange Cassidy. They both can put on a great show, whether there's a lot of wrestling or not.
You could argue these are the two most entertaining superstars in AEW.
I agree. And they said so much without saying so little, with saying so little last week in their standoff and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
and we saw a more aggressive side of Orange Cassidy, which was kind of nice to see last week with that brawl.
Mm-hmm. So I'm also with you on that one. Chris Jericho wins, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what
He's in that same position, like the Inner Circle. Like, they need wins. We need to... It's Chris Jericho. Like, the resume speaks for itself. Everybody knows who that is. Even if you are not a fan of wrestling, you know who Chris Jericho is. You can't have him lose to Orange Cassidy, and that's not a knock to freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy.
You love him.
I do. I own his shirt. Mm-hmm. Him and the shirt that I'm wearing that literally says AEW are the only AEW merch I have.
Yeah.
Which says... Oh, no, I have that sweatshirt, but...
Same.
Regardless, says a lot.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho wins. That's
I
said, though, I'm looking forward to it.
We've had Dynamite long enough. Cody could take losses early in All Elite Wrestling, but even he needs to start racking up some wins. So we've established some guys. Guys are established. Orange Cassidy's not going to lose headway.
He could still get over in this match.
1,000%. So
even though he's already over.
Yes.
He's just getting more over with a loss. I mean, you can make people feel vulnerable for him if Jericho just beats the shit out of him.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're both going to go with Chris Jericho, which we have 2 more matches here. FTR and the Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade and the Lucha Brothers. A lot of good tag teams here, but it's also a lot of guys, and I feel like this is kind of just going to turn into a very spot-filled Young Bucks 8-man tag.
Yeah.
Can it be good? Yeah.
The interesting part is, how is the team of FTR and the Young Bucks going to go? Is it going to go old school tag team wrestling like FTR likes it, using the tag rope, or is it going to go Young Bucks Spot Fest?
There's your story.
Is it going to be both? I don't know.
That's a story in itself in the match. You can. They're probably going to explain that on commentary. I'm sure JR will talk about FTR's old school wrestling and slobber knocking and all that stuff, but. No, that's true though. That's the story in itself here. It's difficult though because you got to think FTR and the Young Bucks are gonna have a match probably at All Out. Mm-hmm. Like that's what we're getting to. And how do you start dissension between the two? You give them a loss, but it's FTR's kind of pay-per-view debut in a way.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with FTR and the Young Bucks. I think FTR gets the win, but we see some face-to-face afterwards.
I just think the stock and the power between the two teams, FTR and Young Bucks, have the star power. Lucha Bros also have that star power, and they're a great tag team. But when you get paired with Butcher and the Blade, who have been in the middle, a lot of the middle.
They can eat the losses, I guess we could say.
Yep. So I'm also with you on that one, FTR and Young Bucks.
So, serious question, though. Speaking of the Lucha Brothers, and speaking of Pac, is Death Triangle dead?
Right.
Like, are we just not even going to reference that anymore? Is that just gone?
Yeah, maybe is that a post-COVID thing that
I
comes
was
back?
excited for that, too.
It could have been great.
Because those are 3 great wrestlers.
Something that Pac needed, yeah.
But, yeah, like you said, maybe after the whole COVID thing, we can get to that. But then again, when is the whole COVID thing going to be over with?
There would be no way of knowing, Kyle.
That's true. That's very true there, Tucky. But the main event of night 2 will be the AEW World Championship match. Jon Moxley versus Brian Cage. And speaking of COVID, I'm kind of surprised that this match is still happening since the wife of Jon Moxley, Renee Young, has COVID-19.
Yeah, and props to AEW for actually talking about it and mentioning that it's a real thing and just saying, instead of saying, oh, Moxley can't make it. No, he's dealing with
Quarantine.
He's quarantined. He's dealing with COVID. These are the times that we're in. We're not going to play dummy to it. So appreciating their fans enough to talk about it. Moxley's got to win, right, though?
You would think, but then again, does the COVID thing throw a wrinkle into this? Mm-hmm. Does Brian Cage get like a squash win?
Yeah.
And we just write Moxley off TV for a little bit to bring him back in the crowd and then win the title again?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want Brian Cage to win because I'm personally not a fan. I think he's just the big guy. Like he's like what Ryback was in WWE. Mm-hmm. And Ryback was good for a little bit, and he showed a little bit of personality, but you got a mouthpiece and Taz, and that's about it with Brian Cage.
Right.
And that's not my style. It's never what I've been a fan of. I'm really not a fan of the big guys unless they can go, and I don't think Brian Cage can really go to the level of some other guys like Luchasaurus and Wardlow and all them. So I'm betting with my heart here. I'm going to go with Moxley.
Yeah.
I think he deserves to win, but it's also a tough spot because Brian Cage is new, and he won that ladder match to get here.
And what are you going to do with the heat that you've already given him? I hope Moxley wins too. Hope is the word.
Are you thinking otherwise, though?
No, I'm not.
You're going Moxley,
yes.
Then? Did we get the levels there?
Nope, thank God.
I'm trying to be respectful.
I might have just turned it off. Feedback protection. my left ear is saying, yeah, we got the levels there, but...
Good thing I don't have to hear myself in the headphones. I don't got a pair of those. But night 2 looks a little worse than night 1, so we'll see what happens here in 2 nights. That's when Fyter Fest starts. Also, the start of the Great American Bash, like we mentioned. It's happening at the same time. And the biggest match that is happening, that one will be on night 2, is Keith Lee, the North American champion, who just won over Finn Balor and Johnny Gargano to get this match with Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. Winner takes all here, Tuck. We're only going to pick this one because it seems to be the one that people care about the most.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the difficult one. What do you think?
No finish.
Damn, I didn't even think about that.
I think that's the only way you can do it.
I don't book till the next takeover, whenever that may be.
Yep. No finish. Something happens. Somebody runs in. Dexter Lumis. There's got to be There's got to be a way. If it's crystal clear, this match will go until there is a winner and a human walks out with both titles. I go Keith Lee.
Okay.
And Adam Cole finds his way to the main roster.
All right.
Ahead of SummerSlam. And then you get the injection on your way to SummerSlam. I honestly don't. The Great American Bash, it seems very Super Showdown, Greatest Royal Rumble-y.
Yeah, for sure.
Glorified house show. Mm-hmm. So I could definitely.
Starcade.
And here's what you're going to do though, because the only ratings war there is on Wednesdays. If you want to blow, if you're not afraid to blow ratings, they will do the non-finish and ride it out a little bit longer.
And that's been their MO. They really don't. They say they don't care, NXT, about ratings, even though the booking decisions seem like
it's going to piss people off.
Yeah,
for sure.
so you're going with a no contest, right?
Yes,
officially.
Mm-hmm.
I am going with bask in his glory, Keith Lee. I think it's time. I think we finally take the belt off Adam Cole, because if it's not Keith Lee, who else is it?
Right.
I don't think Dexter Lumis is ready yet. That was a name. Maybe Karrion Kross, but does Karrion Kross, let me look up and down the Great American Bash card, as we have Lumis versus Strong, Women's 4-Way, Rhea Ripley, and Handicap. Karrion Kross isn't on the card. Maybe that's how you get your no contest.
Keith Lee is the clear-cut only heavy favorite or heavy contender to take the title off of Cole. That's the only way to do it. But what do you do when the guy has both? Does he He's going to fight the North American
He'll
Championship.
lose the North
one game.
American, I think.
Yeah.
You're not going to have him win both and then lose the major one. I think somehow.
Well, you could take on Miz and Morrison.
Hey.
Ho ho.
Miz and Morrison, but they're not on NXT. But I once again, I'm not confident with that one either. I don't. It probably would be a no contest, and if it were, I think Karrion Kross would get involved. But
I'm going, and this is how I win in this viewing situation. I'm going
this is
in.
how I win.
Yes. I'm going in already pissed off and jaded that there is no contest. And then if someone wins,
it's an extra bonus.
Yeah.
And like we said, there's some other interesting matches going on during the Great American Bash. We'll just make this one quick. There's a fatal 4-way to determine the number one contender for the women's title. It's an elimination match. Mia Yim, Tegan Nox, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai. If you had to pick one.
Dakota Kai.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a lot of momentum right now.
Of course. Yep.
And if it's not Dakota Kai, who is it?
Candice LeRae to keep the heat.
True. Because Io's like a tweener. I view Io kind of as a tweener.
Yeah.
Like, she's not good by any means. Like,
right.
Pure babyface, but she's not a bitch.
Right.
I can say that, right? We're talking about storyline. I'm not calling Io a bitch. Well, don't blow me up on a podcast 4 years later. Oh, who could I be referencing?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I didn't say other things. I'm not inappropriate. But before we get to the main roster talk, I did tweet this out. I said I wanted to talk about it last week, Tuck. This might be a hot take. You might not agree with it, but I can finally say I don't think NXT is must-see TV anymore. I don't feel like I need to tune in every week.
I agree.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You think we're just, it's the whole fans thing? Or is it?
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Getting motivated to continue watching outside of with no crowds, no super, because I also think that they might hold back in hopes of a return crowd sometime soon, but it's not likely. I don't know. So I don't know that AEW or NXT is must. I have to see it.
I would say AEW slightly AEW. Is more,
right?
But I wouldn't label it as must see.
But I'm more inclined to watch that first, or make that the one show that I get to first on Wednesday night after Wiffle Ball, and then I try to get through the other one. And NXT's been second the last few weeks as well.
NXT was first for me last week because we're obviously in the same situation where we come back from Wiffle Ball and we want to watch. I chose NXT last week, and that's when I had that thought. I was like, yeah, NXT's solid. I'm not bashing NXT. I still think it's probably the second best show each week, but I don't sit glued to my TV like I used to. And I'm a day one NXT guy. I was watching back in the day when Bo Dallas was champion and when Seth Rollins beat Jinder Mahal for the NXT championship in 2012, I believe it was. So
yeah,
and I think a little bit has to do with the fans, but once again, I think they're also getting kind of complacent with things, which is not a bad thing, but hey, I don't know. I just felt like I needed to say that. But you got any other thoughts from the Wednesday night shows over these past couple weeks?
Nope.
Nothing?
That's it.
We moving on?
Yep.
To the main roster of WWE. This is where you tune in if you are a WWE mark. And the one thing we kind of got to touch on, because it's a cloud that's been hanging over the wrestling world, is this hashtag speaking out movement on social media. Very unfortunate, too, but props to anybody that is speaking out and saying something, because a lot of people have done some very bad things.
Yeah, there has been an ominous cloud cast over the professional wrestling industry, and thankfully it has been. Thankfully, these people have had the courage to speak their truths and speak their wrongdoings. I've never been in a situation like that, so I can't say that I feel for you.
Yeah, neither of us can relate to it.
No, but I am very excited for them and proud of these people for being so brave, because it's very common to try to just hold all this stuff in.
Yeah, very.
Like I watched the Athlete A documentary on Netflix about a woman named Maggie Nichols. She was a gymnast. She was one of the first whistleblowers on Larry Nassar and was shunned from USA Gymnastics, left off. And so the ramifications of speaking out in certain situations are huge. So thankfully they're saying something. The hard part for us as fans is that, don't get to know your heroes
And also, don't believe everything you read or see, because there's people out there that are out to get certain celebrities. And obviously, we're not defending any of the people that are guilty, because these people...
And if you're guilty, get the hell out of here 100%. Right.
Exactly. So, like, there's certain situations like Velveteen Dream and Matt Riddle where we don't know 100% if they are guilty or innocent of these charges, but we do know Velveteen Dream was in the hospital after a car accident. Why that car accident happened, I'm not quite sure. There has been rumors, and it could just be the internet talking, but I really don't want to go there exactly. But I think this is predominantly a male-dominated business historically for women now in 2020 to finally speak, and men too. Keith Lee. Did you read Keith Lee's story?
No, I'm not familiar.
He was in a bar, and somebody gave him a drug. He passed out, and he woke up somewhere where he didn't know where he was.
Yeah,
somebody took advantage of a 300-pound Keith Lee. It's not everybody's vulnerable,
right?
So, but props to all the people that did #speaking out. But we got names and actions. People are released. Jack Gallagher, Sammy Guevara suspended. And, there's multiple names over in the British wrestling scene, but I think both companies have done a fairly good job at handling this situation.
Well, and props to Sasha Banks and Sammy Guevara for having an honest conversation. Props for AEW for suspending him after the conversation came to light that Sasha said, hey, we talked about it. Sammy said it, and he has regretted. Those are inappropriate comments, inappropriate thoughts.
The only thing I don't like is people are saying, oh, he was just a kid. He was 22.
No.
You're an adult.
And social media, podcasts, the way you present yourself, that's never changed.
It's always out there.
It's not okay to be an asshole.
Yeah.
And it's those things that get you caught up. So if he had the courage to say it, he should have the courage to own it. And it seems like he has.
He posted a video too with no ads attached to it too on YouTube, which is something he usually has. So he obviously understands the seriousness of the situation. A
genuine learning moment, and hopefully everyone can. When it comes to the certain allegations that, and in regards to Velveteen Dream and Matt Riddle, I hope the truth comes out. It's just the truth. It is what it is. I don't like picking sides.
I don't like comparing situations either, but the Dream situation is very, very scary.
Mm-hmm.
Not good.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to go into details. If you don't want to know what we're talking about, just look it up online.
It's not hard to find.
No.
And there is no way to compare all of these unique, significant situations, but thoughts and prayers for all those affected, and hopefully the truth will set everyone free. And
as our Truth theme song used to say, "The truth shall set you free." That's right.
Yep.
I blow the speakers there.
Yeah. You blew mine, yes.
You're welcome for that.
Your speaker.
But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with a couple of those situations. But I think in regards to the Sammy Guevara situation specifically, I think that was probably the right call doing the suspension. And he said he's going to be taking sensitivity courses and whatnot. And if that apology was as sincere as he portrayed it on social media, everybody deserves a second chance. Look at Randy Orton. The dude was a cock. He's had 2 strikes on him. He's almost been fired multiple times, but now Randy Orton's one of the best workers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. But props to everybody once again for #speaking out. But let's get into the actual wrestling itself here, Tuck. And I think we referenced this a little earlier in the show. Raw's been pretty good the last couple weeks.
It is getting better. It seems the Pritchard era is off to a hot start. I hope that it continues. Both SmackDown and Raw are palatable.
SmackDown was a little different this week because of the COVID situation,
Correct.
The case outbreak. But yeah, SmackDown was getting a little better. But the last couple weeks I've been watching Raw, and I can honestly say it had my attention from bell to bell. I mean, when you get that Christian cliffhanger going on that he might wrestle, that keeps you involved in the whole show.
Right.
And then with Randy Orton, everything that he's doing, even his promo with the Big Show, I was like, am I really invested into a Randy Orton Big Show feud? I kind of am.
Well, you're not mad about it? Yeah.
I'm not.
Yep.
And that's what's weird is because 2 years ago you talked to me and you say, yeah, Big Show versus Randy Orton.
That's a snoozer.
Get the fuck out of here. Yep. But the way he's working, and on Raw last week, we had a Raw Women's Championship match. We had a Tag Team Championship match. We had a 24/7 Championship match. And we had a women's tag match. So they're making you at least want to tune in.
Mm-hmm. And all companies have been putting in a number of shorter matches as well, 2 to 3 minute, 5 minute matches that are very active. You know, a good quick hitting 4 or 5 minute match. We just keep it moving. So the pacing
that makes
seems
sense
to be
story wise too.
Yes, in the current situation, the pacing of it has been good as well. So hopefully they take some of the pros that have come out of the quarantine era and implement them in front of a live crowd. I'm not asking for 7 4-minute matches, but an effective match against a jobber, I've learned to respect more in this era than I think I took advantage of in normal times.
Yeah, everything has its place, and especially during these times, you need stuff like that still. But Dolph Ziggler actually kicked off Raw, and he moved over with the Robert Roode, so he was a part of that trade with AJ Styles. So he confronts Drew McIntyre, and apparently he's getting a world title shot against him. There's history there, obviously. They were tag team champions together, and I thought the promo that they put together on Raw was good. And overall, I think it's nice to see Dolph get away from SmackDown. The whole Otis thing took up like 6 months. He just needed something new, and now he's getting a world title match.
Yeah, I like Dolph. And he's good enough to be on his own, and we'll see what he does with the opportunity at Raw.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to win.
Oh, 0% chance.
It's your classic filler challenger like Bobby Lashley.
Yep.
Unless you're like me and thought in the last episode Bobby Lashley was going to win.
Yeah, you got.
I was using the world and current events into that situation. I didn't really want Bobby to win.
It was smart. Your argument was legitimate.
There was a legit thought process behind that. Yes. But yeah. So Dolph Ziggler. There's an L in there. He'll be facing Drew McIntyre at Extreme Rules. But another thing that I have been noticing too on the main roster, I'm sure you have, Sasha and Bayley have been huge on WWE TV and defending, retaining on multiple brands too. What have your thoughts on the run that they've been getting?
WWE is aware of the fact that they're going to have to split them at some time, and they're doing a great job towing the line. Is it? And they're not making us look dumb, or I think they're respecting the viewer enough to just play and toy with the idea, with both of them knowing that it's on the horizon.
Coming.
and it could be a banger. I went back and watched the NXT Takeover show.
You did your homework.
It was on the WWE front page too. So I was
really?
I got a few minutes. Yeah.
Good.
It was a great match.
Yeah, those two can go. And I mean, Sasha's got a big matchup coming up too. She's going to be facing Asuka in the future, and that's another thing where they kind of swerved me on that promo. I thought right then and there is when Sasha's like, "I'm coming for you, Bayley," but no, she's going after Asuka because that division's kind of wide open too. So you have Sasha and Bayley literally carrying the women's division. You could say Asuka too, but I think it's nice that they're finally utilizing the women's tag team belts.
Yeah, they were a toy for a very long time, so it is good to get them in the mix. So
Charlotte Flair too, written off TV last week. I don't know if you saw. It's actually a legitimate injury that she has. She's going to be missing some time. So now they have no Becky Lynch. She's about to be a mom. No Charlotte Flair. These are the two top women of WWE in the past probably 3 years.
Yeah.
This was the time to build up Sasha and Bayley, and now I get why they are still the women's tag team champions.
We came in hot with the Iconics pick, but, you know.
I mean, can you blame us?
No.
Speaking of hot, Peyton Royce has been looking fantastic.
Yeah, she's a very talented wrestler, yep.
Very good on the eyes for sure, but Nia Jax is the one that writes her off TV, so you'd probably assume Charlotte and Nia will have a match when she comes back.
Let's hope Charlotte doesn't get hurt again.
Yes. It's also very, very true. But so if Asuka retains, say she does against Sasha Banks, who's next? You got to start using Becky and Shayna, no?
Yeah.
Or not Becky, Bianca. Sorry, Bianca Belair. Where's Bianca Belair?
Yeah.
Or does Sasha win?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You don't? Yeah.
Because you can't have... Well, she's already able to go between brands with the women's tag belts.
Yeah.
So that's an excuse.
That's the in. That's the workaround.
Yeah. It'd be cool. Could you imagine that?
Something different. Another memorable point of quarantine, COVID-19.
Yeah, they would be both world champions and tag champions. And then you can just have a match for all of them together.
Yes. Yep, let's do it.
Let's just get crazy with it. But is there anything else from Raw over the past couple of weeks that you kind of noticed and want to talk about?
I enjoy watching it, and that's...
We're going to have to watch it in 2 hours here. And it looks like I'm not going to get a call about my van that's in the shop, so...
Good luck with work tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to keep rolling then, but we're going to go to the blue brand. Matt Riddle a few weeks ago made his debut, and he defeated AJ Styles clean.
Yeah. Hell of a debut.
And I listen to Busted Open every week. If you don't know what that is, it's with Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca. And they mentioned the fact, honestly, in the past couple years, can you name a bigger debut? Beating AJ Styles clean on SmackDown. Is there a bigger moment to debut someone?
Not in my viewing history, no.
That's pretty surprising. So I like Matt Riddle, and this is obviously going off of what we know now with the situations. Nothing's been proven with his whole situation. I'm still a fan of his. So if he is innocent through all this with all the accusations, I'm cool with Matt Riddle in his debut. But we're going to get to that in a little bit more after this brief message.
What's everybody saying about the On the Mark podcast?
It's just insane, and I love it.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
Unlike any other.
It's a great show.
We'll be right back after a brief intermission.
See what happens, Tuck, when you leave us a review? You get your voice heard on the On the Mark Wrestling podcast.
Well, it's unlike any other. Total hardcore nonstop action.
That's the first time we pulled that out.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Held it, if the review pops up, we can use it,
We're going to be very transparent, too, with our listeners. I got a phone call. My work van was ready to be picked up.
Yeah.
So you took me on over there, and we got that. But we were talking about Matt Riddle's debut on SmackDown, but the rumors were, Tuck, that he's supposed to actually, after beating AJ Styles, who's the Intercontinental Champion, you would think he would get an Intercontinental title shot, no?
Makes sense.
No, that's not the plan.
Okay, cool.
The plan was, or may still be, we don't know because, we didn't really get to see much of Riddle on last week's episode, probably because of the circumstance, but he's supposed to feud with Corbin. But Corbin believes, and this is on the dirt sheets, that Riddle should at least go through about 3 to 5 jobbers, build up a little bit more wins before they start this feud.
That means Corbin doesn't like the fact that they look at him as a jobber.
Or
he ain't feeling it.
Or Corbin just doesn't want to work with Riddle.
Yeah.
Which we've seen in the past. Riddle doesn't sit well with some people backstage.
He's not for everybody. He's for me right now. I like him.
I'm Team Bro.
Yeah.
I used his walk-up song in wiffle ball this weekend.
Yeah.
You notice that, bad boy?
I did.
But what do you think about, Matt Riddle overall debut on SmackDown, how they could potentially use him? Maybe this Corbin feud's the way to go. What do you like to see here out of Riddle on SmackDown?
Well, if you book him to beat AJ Styles clean in his debut, he doesn't need 4 or 5 jobbers to look that strong.
Mm-mm.
If he just shows up and says, "Bro," sure, feed him. Yeah, but he's already solidified himself as a legit contender.
He's got the background. I mean, is there a bigger guy to defeat than AJ Styles right now on the roster? I'm talking like the entire roster.
Well, I mean, Drew McIntyre.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But a logical, like, AJ can take a loss there and still be awesome, that kind of thing. No. Nope.
Maybe not Braun Strowman either, since he's a champion. But once again, I wouldn't be surprised. But overall, I think that's a strong way to start off the Matt Riddle run on SmackDown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll see what happens from there. But we do know he's not feuding with Braun Strowman because we got to see an old familiar face on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. The OG Bray Wyatt, down in the bayou, some would say.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? He's adding another wrinkle to the character.
Well, let me ask you, was the Bray Wyatt Fiend thing getting stale to you?
No.
Not to me either. I don't know that it needs it, but the more complex you can make this character, the more angles and directions you can take it. So it does make sense.
And it also makes sense with their history.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman was brought into the wrestling world through the Wyatt family, and that like Bray Wyatt version that we are getting now in this feud is, where it all started. So we're going to get another cinematic match at Extreme Rules. I think it's called the Swamp Match or something.
The Swamp Ass match.
Swamp Ass. That does happen from time to time. But do you like the idea of going to another cinematic here? I think it kind of makes sense maybe in this storyline, but I wouldn't say I'm excited.
And with it being a B pay-per-view, a B-type pay-per-view, sure. I do worry that they're running it into the ground a little.
Yeah.
But
was this the one that was this show supposed to be in Chicago?
I don't know. Was it?
I don't know. There was one show coming up. It was a lesser show.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was it's TLC. Remember we saw that pop up on Twitter?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
TLC in December is supposed to be in Chicago. But I think the reason they brought back this version of Bray Wyatt is so Braun Strowman can beat another version of Bray before we get to SummerSlam, and then your final boss is The Fiend.
There you go.
It just makes sense.
I'm with it.
I'm cool with it. It's something to, close out SmackDown each and every week, so we'll see where they go with that. And the final thing I wanted to bring up, and I don't know if you've noticed this as well, because you've basically been around for the whole run of Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose from the very start, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think they have been two of the most improved superstars in the WWE. Like a few years ago when they started, as you know, there really wasn't much to them.
No.
Like Mandy had her looks and Sonya was a badass.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have substance behind either of that. And I think now, with the whole Otis thing that kind of took it to the next level, they are a crucial part of SmackDown every week, and I am a fan of both of their works.
Well, and their mic work, their back and forth between each other, they do have chemistry working at odds with each other as well. So they have improved SmackDown. They make SmackDown better.
What another wrinkle with this whole storyline? What has Otis been doing ever since he won Money in the Bank?
Just stakes and weights.
Man, I thought we were going to get more. That's why I thought he was going to win, and we were just going to get segments involving that briefcase.
Yeah,
but he's kind of just chilling.
Yeah, he's around.
Kind of like Ali, who's just chilling in the background. What was he supposed to be, the hacker?
Was he? Is he? Now that he's on Raw, right?
Is he?
I thought they moved him.
They did?
I think so.
Oh, yeah. No, I did see that report.
Yeah.
Because that might have killed the hacker in itself because that whole storyline was on SmackDown. I looked on Twitter. He put on like 15 pounds of muscle, too.
Let's go.
What's the guy doing?
The Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa documentary was out a couple weeks ago.
Are you putting steroids and Ali in the same sentence?
Phrases. Two separate phrases that are next to each other.
Fair enough. But overall, I just wanted to get that point out there. That because I watch SmackDown usually on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. I think you do too, right?
Yeah.
It's a Saturday thing for me because we're usually doing something on Friday in the summer. But I really like what Sonya Deville's doing, and I really like what Mandy Rose has become. I didn't think Mandy Rose could become a babyface because she was working as a heel her entire career. But hey, here we are.
Yeah.
Anything else, Tucky?
Natty and Lana thoughts.
So that's a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like they throw Natty in so much random stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, will this stick?
And who would have thought that Lana would outstay Rusev in the WWE?
I still am pissed about that.
Me too.
Rusev's just gaming now.
I know.
That's all he does.
Yep. Big
cool.
Twitch guy.
I don't know. Maybe that's who Nyla Rose is bringing out. It's Rusev.
Swag.
Wow. In a weird way, that combination kind of works.
Biggins.
They're just big. Yeah, they're just big, and they're going to tear shit up. But no, what do you think of the Natty and Lana pair?
It's okay.
Also, we didn't touch on this. Might as well. Edge tore his triceps.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna miss some times, but he cut a promo in the ring. It's insane what he's just doing on the mic.
Yeah.
Got to be the acting chops, isn't it?
Well, and you would think it would take a little bit longer to come back after 9 years of he's been on it cutting promos in the shower or something because he's He's on point, and it's unfortunate that he got hurt again. But you can bounce back from a tricep.
Right. It's not like the neck fusion.
If the neck
surgery.
goes, that's so.
He's got a couple. He's still going to have a run in the tank. I think you got to, when he comes back, you're obviously going to probably have a third match with Randy, you would assume, right?
Yeah.
Since we're 1-1. Give him a title run.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be long.
No.
The man deserves it. I don't know how many titles he's had, but I'm here for it.
Is he in the Hall of Fame or no?
Yeah, he is a current Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
The one that has always been pushed for that's never happened is Christian.
Right.
Which Christian and like the major title scene never really was much. I know he won one World Heavyweight Championship at least from Randy Orton. That's when I started to watch wrestling. They were feuding. So that's a debate in itself. But overall, yeah, Edge is on the shelf for a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. But I think that about catches up everything that we've missed over the past 18 days.
I think so. Yeah, I think we're pretty much caught up and, looking forward to the Great American Bash and Fyter Fest. And
which one are you watching first, Fyter Fest? After?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because the double title match is until the next week, right?
Correct. Yeah, the second week I might watch NXT first.
I think it has the Edge that second week. So,
yeah, I don't know what else how they're splitting it. They just announced it's happening at the Great American Bash. That's
Great
NXT.
American
That
Bash.
is. So we'll see. Team Kick, Dakota Kai. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you for listening. Visit OTSportsNetwork.com. Follow us on Twitter @_OTSN. Follow the podcast on Twitter @PodOnTheMark. On iTunes and Spotify, leave us a review.
That's
5
right.
stars. If it's less than 5 stars, just don't. Let's talk about it.
You can get out.
Yeah.
We'll see
See ya. Leave us a nice review. And until next time, thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the On the Mark Podcast.
Brock Lesnar going for an F5 to Cena for the championship. Lesnar with the cover.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, make sure to follow us on Twitter @PodOnTheMark.